Okay, good morning, students. Today we will be studying about centers of origin and centers of diversity. Okay, so briefly, I would like to explain that centers of origin are those geographical areas which has the maximum amount of genetic diversity present in that, and also those field crops which have originally been found in that wild forms, either in the wild forms or in the domesticated form. So those particular geographical areas, they are called as the centers of origin. Now we will go into the slides and we will see what actually the centers of origin and centers of diversity are. Centers of origin, they are also called as centers of diversity. Okay, centers of origin, they are also called as centers of diversity. We can also, they are the means the similar words. It is a geographical area. So actually a centers of origin, it is a geographical area where a group of organisms, means a group of, we can say it can be a group of organisms or a group of plant population also. Okay, it is either domesticated or wild. Either it is domesticated there or it is present in the in its wild form. So that geographical area is called as the centers of origin. First developed its distinctive properties, means that particular organism. We can also take the example of organism also here. So it can be an organism or it can be a plant species which is being found in that geographical area in its wild form, or it can be present in the domesticated form in that geographical area. That is called as the centers of origin, and they're also considered as centers of diversity, because when a particular field crop is or an organism is present in a particular geographical region, then maximum amount of the genetic diversity can be found in that region only. Okay, now we will see where did our crops originated, how the crops originated. The evidence, now evidence of origination of a particular organism or the plant species, it becomes evidence for us through various archaeological excavations, through various archaeological studies and botanical observations also on the distribution of the relatives of the domesticated. Suppose if you take an example of a particular field crop, then we will see its relatives species. So in, if any field crop is present in a particular area and its related species are also present nearby, then we can say or the archaeological observations or the botanical observations, they will tell us that that particular region can be the center of origin of that particular field crop or an organism. Like for example, in Mexico and Peru, here you can say in the map, like certain crops like corn, kidney beans, lima beans, peanuts, chili peppers, tomatoes, they have been through archaeological observations and excavations, it has been observed that they may have originated in those regions of Mexico and Peru about 8,000 to 9,000 years ago. Similarly, Iran, Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, about 10,000 years ago, it has been found that most of the field crops like barley, wheat, lentils, and other field crops may have originated in those regions. So, similarly, this is a map showing the various crops and their origination according to the archaeological observations. Now we will come into the main topic, that is centers of origin. Now the scientist, that is N.I. Vavilov, whose full name was Nikolai Ivanovich Vavilov. So he was a scientist in the year 1926. He gave the centers of origin theory. He actually he divided all the crops. Broadly he divided into various centers of origin, and broadly about 12, he divided all the field crops in 12 centers of origin according to the regions where they have originated. So based on the genetics, chromosome studies and anatomical data, so this was the basis of his classification. So Vavilov concluded that most likely areas of origin where the plant was cultivated and its wild relatives grew. So mainly he was giving observations, he was concentrating on the wild relatives and the wild ancestors of some of the crops. So further the areas of origin should be the areas where there is lots of variation. So he said that those areas which has the maximum amount of variation, that can be the center of origin. They should be the areas in which there is a lots of variation, means most of the species as well as its wild relatives are present in that particular area. In the year 1926, so he was mainly concentrating on the wild ancestors. In 1926, this is very important, in 1926 he published a paper that was studies on the origin of cultivated plants. So this was a paper that was studies on the origin of cultivated plants. In the year 1926 he described his theories on the origins of crops. So this was a paper which he published in the year 1926, and he described about the theories of the origins of crops. And he divided those centers into 12 different types of centers of origin. And Vavilov centers are the region, so it is mainly recognized as the Vavilovian centers of origin. We can say the Vavilov centers of origin. So there are about 12 in the year later in 1935. So here we were. Vavilov centers are the regions where a high diversity of crop wild relatives can be found. So it is the center where a particular crop wild relatives are found in the maximum amount of genetic diversity, and they represent the natural relatives of domesticated crop plants. So they also represent the naturally wild relatives of a field crop, of a cultivated crop also. So later in the year 1935, Vavilov divided the centers into 12. So he divided broadly into 12 centers. So this we will be studying in detail. First is Chinese Center, second is Indian Center, Indo-Malayan Center, Central Asiatic Center, Persian Centers, sixth is Mediterranean Centers, Abyssinian Centers, South American Centers, Central American Centers, Chilean Centers, and Brazilian Centers. So these centers we will be studying in detail, and you have to remember, you should also remember those names of these 12 centers of origin which were given by Vavilov according to the region where the field crops have been originated. So this is a map showing the Vavilov centers of origin and the genetic diversity. So various which I have seen, which I have shown in the earlier slides. So these were the various centers of origin. Now, in the Chinese centers of origin, what are the major crops that have their or centers of origin are like pear, peach, apricot, plum, mandarin. So these were the horticultural crops which have their centers of origin in the Chinese center. And Indian center we see mango, sour lime, coconut, mandarin, banana. So these were the centers of origin which were found in the Indian center. And Central Asiatic centers like nut, pistachios, then almond, apple, grapes. So these were the crops which have their centers of origin in the Central Asian centers of origin. And Asia Minor Persian centers, what are the horticultural crops, that fruit crops that comes is fig, pomegranate, pistachios, chestnuts. So these are some of the examples which you can remember. Similarly, in the Mediterranean centers, olives, Abyssinian centers, coffee and cocoa. Then Central American and Mexican centers, we have papaya, guava, and avocado. So these crops are believed to have originated in these particular region. They have the centers of origin there. And then South American centers of origin are cocoa, pineapple, rubber fruits. So these were the fruit crops which have believed to have originated from these regions. Now, broadly, we can see that there are three types of centers of origin. Centers of origin are also of three types. We can divide them into three types. First is primary centers of origin, secondary centers of origin, and third one is micro centers. So these things you should know. Primary centers of origin are those areas from where the crop has originated. Okay, so we can say that if a crop has originated in a particular area, then that area will have the maximum amount of genetic diversity or the maximum amount of wild as well as the domesticated or the cultivated forms present in that geographical area. So the maximum amount of genetic diversity is present in the primary centers of origin. Then after that it comes secondary centers of origin. What happens in the secondary centers of origin? There is considerable less amount of genetic diversity or the genetic variation which is present in the secondary centers is less as compared to the primary centers. Okay, and micro centers are what they are the small region, they are the small region within the centers of diversity which has got maximum enormous amount of genetic variation. Now we will study these type: primary centers, secondary, and micro centers in detail. Okay, so broadly we have seen there are three types of centers of diversity. Centers of origin we have seen. Now centers of diversity: primary centers of diversity, second is secondary centers of diversity, and micro centers. Primary centers, they are the regions of vast, you can say, here you have to note that they are the regions of having vast genetic diversity. Okay, so they are the regions of vast genetic diversity of croplands, and they are the original homes of the croplands. Okay, we can say they are also the original homes, means a particular cropland has originated in that region, so that is called as its primary centers of origin, and which are generally uncultivated areas. Mainly primary centers of origin, they are the uncultivated areas, means where that particular field crop is not cultivated, it is present in its wild forms there. Like you can say examples is mountains, hills, river valleys, forest. So most of the crops, they are present in its wild forms there in the mountains, rivers, river valleys, forests, etc. And what is the main features of primary centers? They have wide genetic diversity. Okay, obviously when a field crop is present in its wild form in the mountains, so the genetic diversity is like very means the same field crop will have maximum amount of the other varieties present in that area, and have large number of dominant genes. Most of the dominant genes will be present in that area. So first point is the centers, primary centers of origin has maximum amount of genetic diversity. Second is the dominant, most of the dominant genes are present in the primary centers of origin, and mostly wild forms are wild characters or the wild species are present in those areas, and they exhibit less crossing over. So the crossing over, this you will be studying more detail in your next cytogenetics course. So the crossing overs, you just have to understand that the crossing over also will be less here. Okay, so primary centers, again we will revise. Primary centers, they are the regions where the maximum amount of the genetic diversity of a particular crop plant is present, and most of the dominant genes are also present in those regions. Those okay, most of the dominant genes. And third point is that less amount of crossing over takes place, and mostly the wild characters are present in those areas. Then we will be studying about secondary centers. Next is secondary centers of origin. Now, secondary centers means Vavilov, according to Vavilov, he suggested that values forms of crop plants are found far away from their primary centers of origin. So, secondary centers, they are the regions which are present away from the primary centers of origin. Okay, they will be present away from, so that there will be a geographical distance between the primary centers and the secondary centers of origin. So, they will be present far away from the primary area of origin, which he called as secondary centers of origin. So those are called as secondary centers. These are generally the cultivated areas. So what are the secondary centers? They are the cultivated areas where the particular field crop is being cultivated by the humans, where the agriculture is being done. Okay, so primary centers where they are present in its wild forms, and secondary centers means mobile. Secondary centers are those areas which are secondary centers are those areas which are present far away from the primary areas of origin. So these are generally the cultivated areas and have the following main features. So what are the main features of secondary centers? They have lesser genetic diversity. So the amount of genetic diversity which is present in the primary centers of origin is less in the secondary centers compared to the primary centers. And there in the primary centers, most of the dominant genes are present. In the secondary centers, recessive genes are, large number of recessive genes are present here. Mostly they have desirable characters because these are present in the cultivated form. So most of the characters will be desirable, our desirable. So whatever the humans desire for a particular character in a plant, so that will be present in the secondary centers because they are the areas of cultivation, and they exhibit more crossing over because the humans, they cross the plants to for getting some desirable traits or characters. So they exhibit more of the crossing overs, and both natural and artificial selections operate here. So natural selections also operate, and artificial means man-made selections. Man-made selections also operate in the secondary centers. Now, third point is micro centers. Micro centers, what I have already told you, that micro centers, they are the small areas within the centers of diversity. So within the centers of diversity, there will be a particular small area which has got tremendous amount of genetic diversity for a particular crop plant. These areas are referred to as micro centers, and it is an important source for collecting valuable plant forms, and that area becomes very important for collecting valuable or the important forms, and also for the study of evaluation of a cultivated species. So by studying the microcenter of a particular field crop, we will be able to understand about the origin of that crop plant. And the main features of microcenters are they represent small areas. So they are the small areas within the centers of diversity. They will not be a big or the large geographical areas, but they will be a small areas. And that particular small area within the centers of diversity will have enormous amount of genetic diversity, and the rate of natural evaluation is faster, and the natural evaluation will also be faster here, and they are important sites for the study of crop evaluation. As for studying the crop evaluation means we are able to understand that how the crop originated. So we will be able to understand by studying the microcenters. Now, the center of origin is the region of the world where a crop is believed to have originated. This you know. Center of origin is that particular area where we can believe that it may be the center of origin of a particular crop species. And the knowledge of time and place. So this that will also help the archaeological and the botanical explanation about a particular crop species, about the evaluation of that crop. Okay, so taxonomists and plant breeders, it will be helpful for them. Present day plants are much more different from the wild varieties. This you will agree with me that most of the cultivated or which are present today, they are different from their wild relatives, because lot of natural selection and artificial selection has been done in them for getting the desirable traits, because they are genetically and morphologically different. Several genes are selected. Okay, loss of plants in loss of gene pools from which new traits can be retrieved, because and that is called as genetic loss, because we are losing our wild relatives which are present in its wild forms. The breeders used it to identify the diverse forms of the species with useful traits or characters for crop improvement. Breeders always do crop selection for bringing about crop improvement. Okay, now, Vavilov concluded that each crop has a characteristic primary centers of diversity, which is also called as centers of origin. This we have seen in our first slide, where I have written that centers of origin or the centers of diversity, because centers of origin will only be the centers of diversity. Okay, because that crop is found in its originated form there, and all the wild relatives will also be present in the vicinity area. So the maximum amount of genetic diversity will be present there. Primary centers of origin, according to Vavilov, the crops evolved. What are the primary centers? Crops evolved from wild species in the area showing maximum diversity. Okay, they have the maximum diversity. And secondary centers of origin, they are those areas, certain crop species, they show considerable diversity of forms. Also, they did not originate there. So secondary centers are those regions where the crop has not originated there. It is being cultivated there. Okay, so it is not being originated there, however it is being present in its cultivated form, which is being cultivated by the humans for the agriculture purposes. Okay, so now we will see that Chinese center, in the Chinese centers of origin, what are the various crops like primary centers? We have soybean, radish, orange, purple, millet, oats, and Chinese cabbage. So these are the major crops, where some of the crops you can remember the names. Secondary centers of origin in the Chinese centers were maize, rajma, cowpea, turnip, and sesame. Whereas second was Mediterranean center. So it includes nearly about 84 plants are involved in the Mediterranean centers. It includes the nearby areas of Mediterranean Sea. Similarly, Indian center or the Hindustan center, we can say it has two sub centers like Indo-Burma center, which includes Assam and Burma, and Nearly about 117 plants are involved in the Indian or the Hindustan centers. And second sub-center is Malaya Java, Siam Malaya Java. It includes Indochina and it includes nearly about 55 plants. Okay, 55 plants are involved in the second sub-center. Similarly, Central Asiatic Center, it includes Northwest India like Punjab and other provinces and Kashmir, Afghanistan, Uzbekistan, like these kinds of region in the Central Asiatic Center. It includes 43 plant species are included in this. Means these 43 plant species, they are believed to have originated, they have their centers of origin in these Central Asiatic Center. Similarly, Middle East and Persian, it has 83 plant species. Okay, 83 plant species are of the areas of Iran and the Middle Eastern areas. They have 83 plant species. The centers of origin are present there. Similarly, Ethiopia, 38 species are even rich in wheat and barley, grains and legumes. So most of them have been believed to have originated from Ethiopia. They have their centers of origin in Ethiopia. Central American and South Mexican centers, it includes most of the grains and legumes, melon plants, fiber plants like cotton, and miscellaneous plants also. So these are the, we just have to remember the 12 centers of origin here. And some of the crop plants, if you can remember, South American centers, nearly about 62 plants are listed in this South American centers. And in the USA centers, no major cultivated crop species are present in the USA centers. However, they relies on the introduced crops. Okay, most of the fruit and the nut crops are involved in the USA center. Some of the grasses, sunflower, many ornamentals and timber tea species, they have been believed to have originated in the USA centers. Okay. Similarly, centers of diversity. What are the centers of diversity? It is the region in the world where the genetic variability in crop species is believed to have occurred. I have told you, but the definition of centers of diversity is it is the region of the world where the greatest variability in a crop species is believed to have occurred. Okay, each crop will have its own center of diversity. Centers of origin, they are also considered as centers of diversity. And the scientist named Ni Vavilov, his full name is Dr. Nikolai Ivanovich Vavilov. This you have to remember for your general knowledge purpose. To be, he is considered to be the original center for the domestication of plants. He wrote his paper in the year 1926. And the three centers also we have studied in detail. Now the difference between the primary centers of diversity and the secondary centers of diversity is the primary centers will have the maximum amount of genetic diversity, whereas the secondary centers will have considerably less amount as compared to the primary centers. Whereas the genetic diversity is wide, and here it is lesser than primary. Regions which are mainly nearly the mountains, hills, and rivers, the primary centers, because most of the wild forms and its relatives are present in the primary centers of origin. Whereas the secondary centers will are mainly they are the cultivated areas where the crops are being cultivated there, and dominant genes are present here, recessive genes are present here, whereas the wild characters are present in the primary centers, and these are the desirable characters because the natural selection as well as artificial selection operates in the secondary centers of diversity. Okay, they exhibit lesser crossing over, they exhibit more crossing over, and selection operates only natural here in the primary centers, whereas in the secondary centers, natural as well as artificial selection operates. So these are the basic difference between the primary centers of diversity and secondary centers of diversity. Similarly, we will be studying about micro centers. So the term micro center was given by micro centers was given by J.R. Harlan. So you have to remember these scientists' name, N.I. Vavilov. He gave the centers of origin, and Harlan, he made exploration to Turkey and added micro centers. Okay, so he went to Turkey and he added micro centers also to centers of origin and centers of diversity. So what are micro centers? They are the areas within the centers of diversity. They exhibit tremendous genetic diversity of some crop plants. They are referred to as micro centers, and they are the important sources for collecting valuable plant forms and study the evaluation of. We can also study about the origination of a particular cultivated species by studying the microcenters. And the main features, they represent small areas within the centers of diversity. They are very small areas, and they exhibit tremendous genetic diversity. The rate of natural evaluation is faster than larger areas, and they are the important sites for the study of crop evaluation. Okay. So here erosion, why this we will be genetic erosion in agricultural biodiversity is the loss of genetic diversity. Genetic erosion, we can say it is the loss of genetic diversity. Okay, so whenever the genetic diversity is being lost, then it is called as genetic erosion. It includes loss of individual genes and the loss of particular combination of genes. And the major driving forces which are responsible for genetic erosion in crop plants are, so they are variety replacement, land clearing. So these are the different points. So here I will end the topic. Now we will go into the discussion.